The latest on the Turnpike battle in Norman, plus more women are registering to vote in the upcoming elections. And homeless housing in Norman is opening back up soon. This is OU Nightly. Thanks for watching OU Nightly. I'm Stone Weber.
And I'm Addie Crawford. We begin tonight with new information in the Turnpike fight here in Norman. Tonight, the fate of the Access Oklahoma Turnpike is being decided by the Oklahoma Supreme Court. The new plan would bring 3 new turnpikes to Cleveland County, all of them unwanted by the people who would lose their homes or land to the highway progress. OU Nightly's Cameron Joyner was in Oklahoma City for the latest chapter in this turnpike turmoil.
Months of controversy has surrounded the proposed turnpike plan that would run through East Norman. Now today here at the Oklahoma Supreme Court, a hearing was held where both sides presented their arguments. Protesters were present and they made their voices heard, and they want the courts to halt this project.
The OTA is trying to just say, we don't really care what the people think.
This sentiment was shared by many at Tuesday morning's hearing.
We just get to put a turnpike wherever we want because we're the OTA and we're undefeated.
Representatives from several cases against the OTA say that is simply not the case.
OTA has asked for permission to build the south extension before. They were denied it.
According to Dowling, the OTA is attempting to rush projects they don't have permission to build.
This year they didn't bother asking.
They know they're unauthorized and they're trying to get it done before someone can legally stop them.
But OTA Representative Jared Davidson says they do have authorization to build at their discretion.
The authority is given the discretion to determine the feasibility and route alignments pertaining to the construction of all or any part of one or more projects. The turnpikes are public highways, and the authority is fulfilling its essential governmental function of relieving the congested roadways of the state.
Those opposed to the turnpike remain adamant this project is not authorized.
How can you justify putting this highway in there?
The OTA shows no intention of halting their progress.
It needs to stop because these routes are not authorized, and I don't think you should be working on a project that you don't have permission to work on.
As for if the OTA's controversial project will be carried out, that decision will ultimately be made by the Oklahoma Supreme Court. There is no official timeline yet on when the referee will make his recommendation or when the court will ultimately make their decision. Reporting from Oklahoma City, Cameron Joyner, OU Nightly.
The referee that heard the arguments today communicates to the Supreme Court judges. The anti-turnpike group Pike Off OTA says 600 homes would be destroyed by the turnpike. But there's no protest from Oklahomans about our recent fall weather.
But it is getting a bit warm out there. Josh Duncan joins us live with a first look at our forecast.
Yeah, that's right. Good afternoon, and we are live outside here by the clock tower here on the campus of the University of Oklahoma, and we've had some beautiful fall weather over the past few days. It all started when a cold front came through during the football game on Saturday, and even yesterday morning, many students wore jackets out the door early in the morning because temperatures were in the 40s and 50s. Now it's a completely different story. You don't see anyone wearing jackets out here, and current temperatures are in the upper 80s and lower 90s across the state. That's right, fall, the brief taste that we had of fall has left us, and we're going to be stuck in a summertime pattern for the next several days. But we are tracking one rain chance across the state of Oklahoma. Brayden and Siau will have details on that and a look at your weekend forecast coming up in a few minutes. Back to you.
Thanks, Josh. We're officially a month away from voting registration deadlines. Officials are stating that Oklahoma has received an increase of 3.2% more women registering to vote for upcoming elections. OU Nightly's Roddy spoke to OU students to see who is registered. Bella?
That's right, guys. I was out here on the South Oval this morning talking to students about why voting is important to them. Here's what some had to say.
Would you guys mind answering a few questions really fast?
Are you registered to vote in any state?
Yes.
I want to vote and I want to register. It's just at the moment I'm not registered yet.
Well, I just turned 18, so my parents are both like, you need to go register to vote.
When I turned 18, it was the thing that I was most excited about.
Once you're 18, I feel like it's a big thing. Obviously you can't like drink or something, but you can vote.
I've just learned that having a voice and like actually using your right to vote is really important.
Because it's important.
Why do you think it's important?
Because I feel like it's just something you have to do to be like a member of a community.
Because there are certain laws that directly have to do with women or affect women, and so the only way to actually, I don't know, take a stand and fight for what you want is to vote.
They need to have their opinions heard too, because I feel like it's over-trumped sometimes.
We've been through a couple years where it's been like just so male-dominated.
The recent abortion laws that have been passed, I think it's been a wake-up call for a lot of women, especially in our generation.
Just education for sure, like especially like at OU, like people are like having those conversations that are important. You know?
Women now are just deciding that it's time to make a change and fight for our rights.
They deserve that, so I see nothing wrong with it, and I'm happy for it. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
There are several deadlines coming up, but the deadline to register to vote is October 14th, whether you do it through the mail or in person. Reporting live from the OU campus, Bella Roddy, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Bella. A major railroad strike may be on the way for the first time in 3 decades. Donovan England has that and the rest of today's headlines from around the world in News Center.
Thanks, Stone. The coffin of Queen Elizabeth has made it to Buckingham Palace. After a day of mourning and paying respects outside St. Giles Cathedral, the plane carrying the Queen's body left Scotland. Among those who attended our Thanksgiving service was her son Prince Charles and other dignitaries. More formalities to honor the Queen are to take place in the coming days. And about 60,000 railroad union members are set to go on strike against current labor conditions. The conductors and engineers are resisting an on-call 7-day work week and other work safety issues. Commuter rail agency Amtrak has already suspended their routes ahead of the strike, which will bring a halt to 30% of the nation's freight. If the labor dispute were to go through, it will be the first national railroad strike in 30 years. And the Food and Drug Administration is considered the first ever over-the-counter birth control pill. A joint advisory meeting was officially scheduled for November, and the medication is currently available with a prescription. The contraceptive is a non-estrogen pill taken orally once a day to prevent pregnancy. And American actress Zendaya makes Emmys history for being the youngest to win 2 awards for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series. What a euphoric evening for the Euphoria star.
Thanks, Donovan. The state of Oklahoma's homeless population is increasing.
When OU Nightly returns, more on plans for establishing new homeless shelters in Norman. Dwindling. OU Nightly's Austin Pratt is in downtown Norman with more on developing plans. Austin?
Thanks, Addie. The city of Norman closed its temporary shelter location here back in May due to complaints by nearby businesses, but plans on establishing new shelters soon. On many street corners, Oklahomans see a growing number of homeless people. Norman's Food and Shelter for Friends says that's something they want to change.
Through the pandemic, and as we've seen our economy take a different form with inflation, we've seen so many people struggling, more so than any time in my 13 years here at Food and Shelter.
Norman's temporary city homeless shelter was closed after the city council voted not to relocate it, a controversial decision that led to more people living on the street. The city is now working with Food and Shelter to build 2 new locations for the homeless.
We submitted an application for $5 million in hopes of securing funding to find a permanent location on which to build a permanent warming shelter facility.
With a potentially harsh winter approaching, the City of Norman and Food and Shelter are working together to create a safe and warm location in time to help keep people off of the streets.
The city of Norman on a plan. They have offered us a building space to be able to operate a shelter that, if all goes according to plan, will be open by November 1st.
The new shelter will be called a friend's house because they want their guests to feel welcomed. The shelter will be in downtown Norman along Gray Avenue. It will serve both men and women. Reporting live, Austin Pratt, OU Nightly. Addie, back to you.
Thanks, Austin. The Artemis rocket now has a new launch date. Summer Miller has that and more in Science and Technology.
Thanks, Stone. A Twitter whistleblower testified before Congress today about allegations of security and privacy vulnerabilities within the company.
It's not far-fetched to say that an employee inside the company could take over the accounts of all of the senators in this room.
The former head of cybersecurity said the company falls behind industry security standards. He says these concerns were brought to Twitter executives, but they failed to act. An unmanned Blue Origin rocket malfunctioned shortly after its launch in West Texas today. Moments after takeoff, the rocket experienced a booster failure, triggering its escape system and sending the capsule back to Earth. The spacecraft is part of the private space travel company founded by billionaire Jeff Bezos that brings paying customers to the edge of space and back. No injuries or property damages were reported. After 2 failed attempts, NASA has pushed back the date of its Artemis 1 moon rocket launch. Officials announced Monday the launch is now September 27th, 4 days later than originally planned. The agency is still repairing the space launch system that sprung a leak during the last attempt. The anticipated date will have a 70-minute launch window, and officials say October 2nd is being considered as a potential backup plan. And speaking of NASA, in about 2 weeks, there will be a refrigerator-sized spacecraft sent to crash into an asteroid to test its ability to alter the asteroid's orbit. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Summer. Inflation has been on the rise in the U.S.
We'll give you an update on what prices are still high and what's falling.
And Addie, those walks to class have been getting hotter these last couple of days. Brayden, Siau has the forecast. Is it still shorts weather, Brayden?
It is most definitely still shorts weather out there, and coming up on OU Nightly, I'll tell you just how long these summer-like temperatures are expected to stick around. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Taking a look at temperatures across the state right now, you can see that it is definitely not feeling like fall. After the cold front we had this weekend that brought temperatures down into the 70s, this is definitely a rude awakening as we have 90s across much of the state. And taking a look at the 24-hour temperature change, you can see that it's a little bit warmer across pretty much the entire state than it was this time yesterday. And then looking at the dew points, you can see there's a little bit more moisture here across the western part of the state than in the eastern part of the state, and that's leading to these heat indices that are a little bit lower over here across eastern Oklahoma. But as you take a look out here, in especially southwestern Oklahoma, Lawton has a heat index at 97 degrees right now, so definitely still feeling like summer out there. And looking at these wind gusts, you can see it has been a little bit breezy today from the south. These wind gusts are approaching 25 miles per hour here in Enid, and then approaching 20 miles per hour here in Norman. And taking a look at the futurecast, you can see that as we head into tomorrow afternoon, a few showers and storms are possible here across the Panhandle, and then that will diminish. And then as we head into Thursday, another round of showers and storms is possible across northwest Oklahoma. But unfortunately, this really isn't going to help us here across portions of central and southern Oklahoma where the worst of the drought is located. So we're definitely going to miss out on the rain this time around. Taking a look at lows tonight, you can see mid-60s here across western Oklahoma and central Oklahoma, but mid to upper 50s across the eastern part of the state. And then highs tomorrow will reach the 90s once again, and this is running about 5 to 10 degrees above average, as our normal high this time of year sits right around 85 degrees. And then whenever we look at our 7-day forecast, you can see the next few days will be right around 90 degrees under sunny skies, but take a look at these low temperatures down here in the 60s, and this will continue as we head into Friday. But as we head into the weekend, these temperatures will rise into the 90s under sunny skies, lows rebounding up into the 70s, and then this will continue as we head into the next work week. So sunny conditions, warm conditions will continue into next week. Over to you at the desk.
Thanks, Brayden. Most of us have had firsthand experience with the country's inflation crisis, and it seems to be cooling off, but not fast enough. The Bureau of Labor Statistics released today that inflation went down for a second straight month. Even though gas prices are falling, the cost of many other necessities remain on the rise. Rent, healthcare, food, and other goods continue to rise, leaving Americans with not much wiggle room in their budget.
A lot of fruits and vegetables, and I'm not buying them because they're just too expensive.
More of a fall in prices, but many rates are expected to increase again in the next week. And OU football has a huge matchup this weekend against an old foe. And Monday Night Football ended Week 1 with a thriller.
OU Nightly's Jimmy Wicks has that and more in sports.
Thanks, guys. Bad blood is brewing in the Midwest as OU travels to Lincoln, Nebraska this Saturday. And Geno Smith and the 12th man hosted a not-so-welcome home party for Russell Wilson and the Broncos. We have this and more coming on sports. Hello, I'm Jimmy Wicks, and it's time for sports. With OU returning to Lincoln, Nebraska for the first time since 2009, OU Nightly's Dakota McDowell-Wakapichi has more on this Saturday's matchup.
To be able to give our guys experience of playing in Lincoln, and again, based on the history of this rivalry, at the end of the day, this is going to be about us.
That's what head coach Brent Venables said about playing Nebraska in Lincoln this coming Saturday. Nebraska will look different as they fired head coach Scott Frost this past Sunday. Nebraska Athletic Director Trev Albert said that after the disappointing start to their season, that he decided to take the best path forward toward a different head coach. The Huskers will be led by interim head coach Mickey Joseph for the remainder of the 2022 season. Venables said they're preparing for what Nebraska's Memorial Stadium will have, and that Nebraska means a lot to interim head coach Mickey Joseph.
He's got a great reputation in the profession, doing things the right way as a coach, as a recruiter, relationship guy, very well respected in the profession.
Reporting from Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, Dakota McDowell-Wakapichi, OU Nightly.
And last night, Russell Wilson made his return to Seattle with a thrilling Monday night game. Wilson played his first 9 seasons for the Seahawks, and in his first game as a Denver Bronco, he made his homecoming. The game went down to the final minutes with Denver getting to the midfield, then making a shocking call to kick a 64-yard field goal rather than giving Russ a chance to win the game. Denver missed the try and lost 17-16 in Seattle. And just 2 weeks after college football done, FanDuel have released their college football odds this season. Reigning SEC and national champions Georgia are betting favorites with their odds at 9-5, followed by Alabama at 2-1. Oklahoma begins as 50-1 odds, and Oklahoma State being 100-1 odds following their win at Arizona State. And for OU's first game away from home, the Sooners travel north to Lincoln to face a Nebraska squad fresh off of coaching change just a couple of days ago. Brent Venables has them in the right mindset to take on the Huskers in a tough road environment.
You know, Coach has been talking about it forever, road dog mentality, and we know going to Nebraska is going to be packed, 100,000, however many they have, and we know they're going to play us tough, so, our mentality is just road dog mentality. It's a business trip. We're going down there to handle business. We got to put our best foot forward, so we know it's hard. We know it's hard to play in Nebraska, so we got to give 110%.
Yeah, guys, I'm really excited to see the Sooner squad play this weekend in Nebraska.
Me too, Jimmy. And Addie, the Sooners are on a bit of a revenge tour this time around in Lincoln. Last time they went up there, they lost 10-3.
I'm definitely going to have to tune into this game, but thank you, Jimmy. Stone, knock, knock.
Who's there?
Well, you'll have to stick around to find out what unlikely face is behind the door. I'm Marilyn Fitzer at the OU Nightly Update Desk. The first death due to monkeypox in the U.S. has been confirmed. The Los Angeles resident was hospitalized Monday with a weakened immune system due to the virus. The virus was uncontainable once inside the body. The cause of death was linked to monkeypox by the LA County Department of Public Health and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Addie, Stone, back to you in the studio. Thanks, Ireland. Well, talk about polite. A bear in New Jersey has taught himself to close the front door that he nudged open using the doorknob. Take a look.
Boy, go ahead.
All the way, hon. All the way.
It's something you don't see every day.
But on to the weather forecast. Brayden, can you give us a look for the week?
Yeah, guys, and unfortunately, even though it's September, we're definitely not going to be feeling like fall. We've got 90s across the board as we head into next week. You'll notice whenever you head to class that you might even be sweating, even though it's September. So sunny skies, no rain in the forecast, and mid-90s as we head into next week. Over to you at the desk.
Thanks, Brayden, and thank you for tuning in to OU Nightly.
We'll see you live every weekday at 4:30. Good night.